All right, so I started the recording. Today we are going to be making a simple pound cake recipe. And this recipe comes from the best pound cake recipe is actually the name. It comes from sugarsprung.com. I'll put the link to it in the description once it gets loaded up. So we need 2 cups of softened unsalted butter, 2 cups of butter, unsalted, okay? Has anybody ever wondered about the difference between salted and unsalted butter? No? Okay. You pretty much figured it out that one has salt and one doesn't? Yes? No? Did you pretty much put it together that one has salt and one doesn't? The reason why we use unsalted butter and baking is because we're going to add salt to our product. And if you use salted butter, you would have to look up the ratio of salt in the butter and account for that within the recipe. But just use what the recipe asks for, unsalted butter. So like I said, I'm chopping it up because I just took it out of the refrigerator, so it's not softened. But once I put the paddle to this, it will soften up. But if I leave it whole like this, it's not gonna do what we want it to do. So the friction on that butter will that we're going to create by putting it on the paddle attachment will add heat and it will soften. The thinner you get it, the better for the application we're going to be doing. Could you put it in the microwave? You could, but that's going to defeat the purpose of what we need. Could you substitute in margarine? You could substitute in margarine, but margarine actually has a higher water content to it. It does change the recipe a little bit, not much, but it does. And actually, margarine is not all that good for you. Butter is actually better for you because margarine is a processed food. How many of you all knew that? Anyone? 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 Did y'all know that margarine was a processed food? Can you all hear me at home? Can I get a yes or no? Did you learn that margarine was a processed food? Did you already know? You didn't? Okay. And actually, there's a really interesting history behind margarine. Margarine was originally made for turkeys, to feed it the turkeys to get them to get fatter faster. And what they found was that the margarine actually killed the turkeys. So they decided to give it to people. Crazy, right? And actually, margarine used to be pink. So you could know the difference between margarine and butter. Just a fun fact. So we got our butter in here in the bowl. It's all cut up. Now we're going to take our paddle attachment. I'll put our bowl on the mixer. Paddle attachment is on, and I'm going to lock it in place, and I'm just going to put it on stir. And that butter is going to get broken up, and it's going to look kind of like a whipped cream. Next up, we're going to need 3 cups of sugar. So that's 3 cups of sugar. Bring that trash can over here. And we're going to add this sugar to the mixing bowl, and we're going to get it fully incorporated. We're going to cream it together. Yeah, that's fine right there. And we're going to cream it together. And again, that's going to look like whipped cream. So I'm going to turn my mixer on. I'm going to add my sugar in. Now this is called creaming. This is creaming. Creaming. All right. So that looks good. We'll scrape down the sides before we start the next step in the process. Now, what flavors do you like in your, how many of you all like pound cake? Okay, what flavors do you like in pound? Why you don't like pound cake? What's the matter with you? You don't like you don't like cake? You ain't never had no birthday cake? Okay. You hurt your parents' feelings, didn't you? They don't even buy you cake no more. You don't even get birthday no more, do you? Like this girl here, she don't like cake, y'all. It's all right. If she don't like cake, it's okay. It's fine. Just shock. Okay. So we scrape down the sides. We're going to need a tablespoon of vanilla extract, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, one teaspoon. Okay, there's your salt in there. And we need uh 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. Get that in there. That's in there. I'm also going to add a tablespoon of lemon juice because I like the flavor of lemon. We're also going to need six whole eggs and 6 egg yolks. Six, and then we need 6 egg yolks. Yolks are going to add a little bit more richness to this. They're also going to add a little bit more color as well to the recipe. How many of you all think you would want to be a baker? No? Anyone? Baking is where the money is, but it's a lot of long hours. A lot of long hours. It's long hours because of the cooking time and the prep time. But it's a lot of money to be made. Actually, being a cake decorator is amazing. That's all money. Because your ingredients are butter, flour, sugar. Okay. Now we'll save the egg whites for something. By now, usually if I was at home, I would have made banana pudding just because I had egg whites. And we might do that before the school year lets out. So here's the next step. We're going to add our eggs one at a time. Also want to pause and scrape down the side of the bowl to make sure everything gets incorporated properly. All right, there we go. And last but not least, we need 3.5 cups of flour. Yep, 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour. If a recipe calls for all-purpose flour, you use all-purpose flour, okay? Whatever the flour the recipe calls for, use that. That's 3.5 cups. Okay. Now, when you're adding your flour, don't turn the mixer on high because you're going to have an awfully lovely mess. Awfully lovely mess. Don't overmix it. There it is. There's our pound cake right there. Lovely. Beautiful. Okay, so we got our pound cake done. We're going to preheat our oven. We're not going to be able to do the complete cook in class today. But I will show you the process of what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, just like I did with the cheesecake. Need parchment paper. Using parchment paper because it's going to keep the cake from sticking to the pan. We're also going to line the sides with parchment paper as well. I want to butter the bottom. This is just so the parchment paper will come straight off. I'm going to butter the sides too. Usually I would just use cooking spray, but this is fine. I just have a little piece of butter. It's fine. Now the term is just grease your pan. Just grease it. You put a little flour in there as well. If you don't have parchment paper, just use a little fat flour. Shake it around like that. Of course, you would need more flour, but I'm just going to use the parchment paper. What's up? Okay. You want to send them over or? Okay. I got you. I used to be a lot better at doing this parchment paper. I have to get with my chef from college again to show me how to do it again. I used to be to have a nice trick to do it. And again, I'm just doing this to keep the cake from sticking to the pan, all that good stuff. Just like that. Okay. Now, how many of you all just used to lick cake batter? Don't lie. How many of you all like licking cake batter? No one? Okay, well, don't do that. That's dangerous. Because cake batter has what in it? What do we put in here? What's in here that you can't eat raw?
Raw eggs.
Eggs, exactly. It's not safe to eat cake batter because of the eggs. It's also not safe to eat cake flour because of the flour as well too. Yeah, it's flour and eggs actually. Flour and eggs. Okay. Whoop. Okay, now some people like, chef, this batter looks really thick. Yes, it's pound cake. Pound cake is very dense. Now, other things to keep in mind of that'll affect your cake is the size of the pan will affect the cook time as well. You do want to keep in mind how much you're filling your cake pan as well too. I wouldn't go any more than about a third to halfway up on the filling of the cake pan. Now this is pound cake, and you can get away with doing that with pound cake because there's not a lot of leavening in pound cake, okay? The only leavening in the pound cake is the eggs. Now, if this was like a angel food cake, then you could not do that because you would knock all the air out of the egg whites, okay? But again, this cake is very, very sturdy. It can take a little bit of abuse, the batter can, that is. If I was doing like, you know, the cake war stuff, the wedding cake, stuff like that, I would definitely use a pound cake. Because like I said, because it's more sturdy. Yeah. Or you could use a genoise or genoise, but genoise would be French. You could use that as well. Those are sponge cakes. Those cakes tend to absorb flavor after they're cooked. But again, kind of wanted to smooth this top out just a little bit. We'll do it like that. There you go. I'm gonna also bake this in a water bath as well. So I wanna wait till the oven comes up to temp. Then we'll pop that in there. I'll go ahead and get the water measured off. And another thing that the water bath does for your cakes, ladies and gentlemen, is it adds another, it makes it really, really moist. Okay, have you ever had a dry cake? Taste it and it's just dry and it's like, oh, I need some milk. And I guess y'all never had a dry cake before. Okay, cool. But with your dry cakes and stuff, you can fix that with a little bit of baking it in the water bath. Okay. So I'll show you what the water bath looks like. Are you uninterested in learning how to make pasta? And in actuality, this is a really easy cake to do at home as well. Again, you don't need a lot of ingredients, as you see. Just gonna add our cake water to about it's halfway up on there. Boom, we're good. When you're doing your water bath, make sure that you're not pouring water into the batter. That would be bad. All right, and we're going to bake this for, I think we're going to bake it for about an hour. So yeah, we're going to bake this for an hour and 15 minutes. So I'll set my timer. And we're good. All right. See you in an hour and 15.